Before I lived at Ananda, I lived in another community, a community of Swami Satchitanandas in Integral Yoga Institute. And in 1972, it was interesting, Jyotish was describing how Ananda saw itself in 1972. But in 1972, among spiritual commune livers in Northern California, we were in Lake County, they found out that I was a disciple of Paramahansa Yogananda. And they said, "You should go to Ananda." I said, "Ananda? That's where Kriyananda lives." And they said, "Yes, Ananda is the real deal." Kriyananda is doing a great work. So we may not have seen what we were, but the world saw, where those who were tuned in saw, what Kriyananda was. And we saw what Kriyananda was from the get-go. We knew that he was carrying these eternal truths of Master. And as Anandi was referring, we looked around and we thought, man, this is not much for what he has been given, what Swami has given us. And yet, there has always been, due to Swamiji's guidance, as Anandi said, the respect of every individual. And as long as Ananda thrives, if we respect each person as a soul and we disregard their situation, their age, their learning, their education, their financial status, then the teachings that Swami gave us stay alive. And that is what Master gave the 23-year-old Walters, isn't it? He put him in charge of the monks. Those monks were 20 years, 30 years older than him. But he said, "No, you are the person I want to lead." And he did. And that has been the story of Ananda, is the respect for the Atman, the soul in every individual. After the fire that Devi talked about in 76, we did start to build houses with the next level of refinement and permits and planning and design. We started designing things before we build them, and a revolutionary concept. And we did. And the community began to build, and we sort of regrouped from Durga's a handful of ashes. And by about 1977, I wouldn't say we were getting settled, but we were sort of, okay, we got a place. Okay, we're okay. And so what did Swamiji do in 1977? He told us that this mission, the eternal truths that Paramahansa Yogananda brought, must be brought to the world. And so he sent Haridas and Vijay to Sacramento, to the urban centers, and he gave us this uplifting, inspiring talk. And the two young monks in their 20s went off to Sacramento to bring the teachings that would eventually give us Ananda Palo Alto, Ananda Seattle, Ananda Gorgon, Ananda Dallas, Ananda Portland, and all these urban communities all around the world. This began with two 25-year-old monks in a 1959 Plymouth Belvedere, I believe it was. Haridas's heater didn't work. So he had his snow cap on, and he had his coat on, and he didn't have the driver's window didn't roll up. So that was down. Of course it's raining. And they gave me a ride down to the farm. I don't know if Vijay remembers this. But Haridas had the correctly cut garbage bag that would fit in the window for when it rains. And they went to the capital of California. And they started the World Brotherhood movement to the urban teachings. Is that possible? Yes, it's possible because Swami Kriyananda told us that the Guru is the power and nothing else matters. And so two brave young disciples went and they succeeded. And they started to spread this message of self-realization. And we cognized the discrepancy. But we believed in the dream. We believed in what Swami told us. You can do it. He never said you can't do it. He said you can do it because you're a child of God. Do it. And you can do it. And each one of you, the great thing about the story of Ananda is that you can write yourself into the story. You can found the garage of the eternal religion. In your neighborhood, in Poughkeepsie, you can do this if you let the Guru do it. If you think that you can do it because you know all about garages and zoning, forget it. But if you let God do it, and one of the things that Swami gave us from the get-go in the story of Ananda was that every one of us believed in Vijay and Haridas because we knew that they were deep disciples and they loved God and nothing else mattered. And that takes experience. And what we've got now after 40 years is 40 years more experience. But we still have, as Anandi said, the adventure. And it will continue. And you can write in your part of self-realization. Because the whole goal of this is not communities or land or buildings or mandirs or apartment complexes or Pune or any of that. Unless we have self-realization. That's what we're here for. That's what Swami taught us. We respect each other as disciples, and we stand behind each other. And we stood behind Vijay and Haridas from a distance. Good luck. Seva funded the work entirely. We gave them $300. And Seva, in one of the great quotes of Ananda, said, "Boys, this is all you're getting. Don't come back and ask for more." Because that's all we had. So, Krishnadas and Mantradevi, count yourselves lucky. The gardening teacher at that time was Honel Cassidy, one of the greatest experts in biodynamics in the world, and it's the year 2008. He's still, I read the constant biodynamic newsletters. Honel Cassidy is still one of the leading authorities in biodynamics in the world. And as we sat there with our overalls and tent, and he gave the organic gardening seminar, we again saw this juxtaposition between the level of blessing and grace that was in front of us and what we could manifest. It was a big gap. I know that at least I was scared at times. Can we do this? Can I do this? Can I help Master's work? Am I good enough? And Swamiji never let into that. You can do it because you are a child of God, because you are a soul, because Paramahansa Yogananda said to Walters, you be the head of the monks. You give the Kriya at Hollywood. You give the Sunday service. You can do it. Each one of us, we need to remember that. That's the story of Ananda. That's what makes it ever expanding and ever new, because it is constantly, as Anandi said, it's dynamic. It's an adventure. Years later, Maria and I were sent to Sacramento. We had a series of centers, and finally we wanted to get a bigger center. So Maria and I saw this big commercial building, and it had legal parking spots and Americans with Disability Act hardware. It was so exciting. We would be legal in our center. So I went to the Caldwell Banker manager, and that's a national firm of real estate. By this time, thanks to some people that had come, we were a legal corporation in the state of California. We were the Ananda Church of Self-Realization of Sacramento. And I had bylaws and paperwork and all sorts of stuff. It was fantastic. So I went to the Caldwell Banker agent, and I said, I'd like to rent this doctor's office, and I'd like to make it a yoga center. I told her what we wanted to do. And she said, okay. So she said, now you're a corporation? I said, yes, we're a corporation. Maria and I are the CEOs. I didn't tell her that, but I was thinking, come a long way, baby. So she said, well, this could work. Why don't you just, you have the bylaws? I said, yes. She said, why don't you give me a P&L? I said, yeah. Okay, I'll do that. So I went home and I phoned Riemann. I said, I have 2 questions. 1, what is a P&L? And 2, can you make me one? And he, of course, said, yes. So he gave me a P&L. And this is a corporation, the Ananda Church of Self-Realization of Sacramento, capital of California, 6th largest economy in the world. And it showed that the net assets of our corporation after 14 years were $500, which, if you do the math, works out to 10 cents a day. Usually corporations, they list assets in millions. We listed assets in dollars. So I thought, well, whatever. So Maria and I talked, and we said, let's just mail her the thing. And then I thought, we have that letter of recommendation. I had gotten a reference letter from our previous landlord. And it said, to whom it may concern, the Ananda Center is the best tenant I have ever had in all the properties I've ever owned or ever managed. They are respectful, they sweep the walkway, they water the plants, they change the light bulbs, and on and on and on. So I took my P&L and my reference letter, and I asked Master, if this is your will, please do what you will. So I mailed it to her. And a couple of days later, she phoned me back and said, well, let's go for the walkthrough. And I said, what happened to the P&L? And she goes, looks good. I love realtors. Positive, energetic, and enthusiastic. So anyway, we got the place, stayed there 14 years, thrived, outgrew it, of course. And so 3 years ago, with much support from all of our congregation, we had this church that was now a mortuary right next to our community. And we asked him, would you sell this to us? And we asked Master, please, if this is right. Swami Kriyananda came down and he said, this feels like ours. I thought, well, then it can happen. I'm not going to shirk back. I'm not going to be afraid. You can do this, Master. Do you want this? If you want it, you can do it. So we phoned him. So I got on the phone. I made the deal on a payphone because I don't have a cell phone. This tower thing, I'm not clued into that yet. So I phoned up the vice president of their corporation, and I said, would like to buy it. And they had a meeting in the board of directors, and they said, yes, we'll sell it to you. And I said, what's a fair price? And they said, I don't know, you name a price. I said, well, it can't be worth less than $1.2 million, can it? And he said, oh, no, that's too little. It would be at least $1.5 million. I said, okay, that's a deal. He said, that's a deal. And that's how you order it's like pizza. You order it over the phone, like a 5,000 square foot mondir with half an acre of land. I'd like 5 two-bedroom apartments adjacent, and then Americans with Disabilities Act hardware. I'd like the legal parking spots and no anchovies. So we got a mondir. And the story of Ananda is that there is no limit to what Master can do through us if, as Swamiji said on Monday, Jyotish and Devi said on Tuesday, attunement. If we let Master do it, he will do it. Could we have imagined the Bothell meditation mondir, the Palo Alto mondir? No, we couldn't have imagined that. Not with Vijay and Haridas in the Belvedere. Didn't look promising. But it is promising because it is the power of God. It is the power of Master. And that is why Pune, and that is why Gorgon, and that is why South America, and that is why Frontiers Unknown. And some of you are sitting here, and you're going to be the next instrument that Master uses if you open your heart to him and if you have faith and devotion. It works. It's the story of Ananda. I'd like to tell one more story before I close. And it's a story about Swami Kriyananda when he had a heart failure. And he had to have a pacemaker inserted in his heart in December. I don't know what year it was. I kind of lost track. But it happened to be that when he came out of the operation, Jyotish and I were standing next to the gurney. Swamiji was just been wheeled out of the operation. And Swamiji said, was it a success? Do I have a pacemaker? And Jyotish paused for a moment and said, Swamiji, no, you do not have a pacemaker. And Swamiji said, oh. He said, Swamiji, your heart is not well, and you need a valve, a St. Jude's valve, inserted in your heart to keep the blood on the top half of the heart from going to the bottom half of the heart. And Swamiji said, oh, I wasn't expecting that. When do we have to do that? And Jyotish said, sir, we need to do that soon. It's very important. And it was December 8th, I believe, and I could be wrong, but it was definitely in December. Swamiji's next question to Jyotish was, should we do the operation now, or should we do it after Christmas? If we do it after Christmas, will people be worried during the all-day meditation and during the Christmas? Will it put a damper on the community? Joe just said, I don't know, sir. I will have to feel that. Swamiji's first concern is for all of us. Can we celebrate the birth of Christ? Can we realize the Christ consciousness? We decided to have the operation quickly. It happened the next week. Successful. We all celebrated the recovery. That is the consciousness that is the story of Ananda. Care for others because you are a part of all that is.